So I will call the next panel on stage. That is Salim Amin from Afrofuture DAO. Please give them a round of applause as they. Welcome, Dada. Yeah, sure, you're welcome. Yeah. And Vintage Mozart will be joining us. Will be joining us online. So, yeah, welcome. And this session is called The New Collectors, NFT Enthusiasts and Investors. So, yep. Oh, Dada, you're on.
Well, thank you so much. And look alive, guys, look alive. At least this one is a bit simpler, less complex, and definitely more, of experience in how to reach new audiences and how to push your work depending on what the types of NFTs that you do. So, how many of you here have minted an NFT before? Couple of hands, that's cool. Better than earlier in the morning. How many of you have bought an NFT? Cool. How many of you have received an airdrop of an NFT? Yeah, so the rest of you, join Boogie, buy the pass, and you'll be able to get seasonal NFTs. That was like a shameless plug, but So what I wanted to ask, hey Vintage, can you hear me? Awesome, so happy to have you on board. I wanted to ask, this is to all of you, are NFTs dead? Are NFTs dead? Oh, I don't like that face, but let's go. Are they a bubble?
It's working.
Okay. Is this? Yeah. Are NFTs dead? Are they a bubble? What is this bubble?
Well, based on the sales that we've made in the last year, I'd say, yeah, they're dead. We haven't sold anything in the last year, I think, after a really robust start 2 years ago, two and a half years ago. There was a fair bit of traction on sales, but in the last year, we haven't seen anything. I assume that is not just because of NFTs, but also because of what's been happening with cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin and everything else. So, but yeah, it's a very strange market. So as far as I'm concerned, unless there's a big upsurge, people are going to move away from it very quickly.
Just to clarify, what types of NFTs do you sell?
So we do more archival content. So we sit on a massive archive of African history. So the NFTs are minted from events in key events in Africa's history, key people on the continent. So whether it's Haile Selassie or Idi Amin or Julius Nyerere, Nelson Mandela, we have all this historical content that people are or were buying at one point.
How about you, Marine? Are NFTs dead?
Well, when you talked sorry, it's a bit loud. When you talked about the bubble, I think even way before being slightly involved for myself in the NFT sector, I mean, none of us can say that we didn't see it coming. It looked like a bubble. It acted like a bubble, I guess. So I don't know if we'll come back later on the Artstorm, I guess. But so we had this project where we minted 22 NFTs, and it was in September last year. So you can say that was the worst timing ever. And for us, indeed, it has meant that the NFTs were quite dead. As Salim was saying, I don't think for us it's not only the NFTs. There was a huge question around the marketing, and I think we had to just reinvent ourselves on the marketing, which we haven't managed yet to do just because we didn't know the market enough and because the market is evolving so fast. I still have a lot of hope for those NFTs for the reason we'll talk about later.
Okay. Liam or Vintage is a very and extremely successful artist in this space. Also founder of one of the biggest African NFT community, probably the pioneering African NFT community, right? Liam, are NFTs dead?
I'm going to speak from an artistic perspective and like what we're trying to change. So I'm Vintage Mozart. For those of you who don't know, I'm the founder of Ancurated, founder of African NFT community, founder of AN Collective, which is a DAO that we're building as well. In terms of NFTs being dead, I think the connotation of non-fungible tokens. Sorry, can you guys hear me? Because I know I'm talking fast. Okay, awesome. So I've been in the space for about 4 years now, and I started in like late 2020, and it took me quite a while to get into it because of the limitations of crypto. I was listening to the interesting conversation before. So I think the concept of NFTs being dead is there, but the rise of crypto art has not died. I think the mass audience kind of got used to NFTs being associated with PFP projects and not the sustainability or the usage. Like with what I'm doing at Ancurated, our main goal is preserving culture on the blockchain. So artists always have a ledger to go and put their work regardless of its selling. In the beginning of the bull run, we did understand the pretense and how we did start. So NFTs are dead is just a statement to like me as a person, but the community aspects and how people are seeing it and how we start presenting to our audience, there was so much mental jargon that was trying to present this to a lot of the world. So that was the main issue because of the whole non-fungible part. A lot of people didn't understand that, or the pretext of the context that you're not purchasing an item, rather the tokenization of an item, and you have like a digital receipt associated with said item that you are purchasing. When it came into the art industry, it was very, very revolutionary because we finally had a position where the secondary market was associated with the artists themselves. So for us on that context, it is a little bit of a different thing, but unfortunately, PFP projects always ran side by side along with crypto and along with art in NFTs. So each of the ecosystems are dependent on one another. So as an artist myself, I've been a digital artist for about 13 years now. I always call myself a digital artist or a crypto artist rather than an NFT artist because I don't like to dumb myself down, as I just do non-fungible tokens as well because I explore other practices and even with the communities that we do teach. Yeah, so thank you. I just want to give like a short answer.
Thank you so much for that. So we've spoken about the different types of NFTs being sold. By the way, Liam does collage art, and Liam and I have worked together for such a long time. He's one of the people who onboarded me into like the African NFT community, and it's a place where I found a lot of collectors, if not support and if not collaborators, right? So different types of NFTs are doing well at specific points in time. I think that's what I'm getting about this, right? And what I want to ask, because obviously Africans have this connotation that NFTs are a scam, crypto is a scam, blockchain is a scam. My question is, do you think NFTs are widespread adopted in Africa? And who is leading this revolution, and why is it so important?
Look, I'm not an expert. You can see all the gray hair. It's not my generation of understanding this new currency. We have content. We have enormous amounts of content. One thing I learned throughout my life is that if you have good content, it will travel over every platform. So that's why we got into NFTs. It was just another way of marketing the content. Ironically, while I said earlier the sales of NFTs had gone down, our physical sales of prints has gone up exponentially in the last couple of years in different parts of the world. So people are still interested in the content. That's not the concern. I just don't know why that particular market went down. Or reduced. And again, I'm sure there's a lot of, like Liam said, there's a lot of external factors as well on that. But in terms of you know, who are the best in Africa? What I found is when we put our content out to new African NFT artists and ask them to use the historical content to create their own NFTs and to work on them and add to them. You did some of them as well. I was really fascinated with some of the things that came out. So I think the creativity side is not lacking on this continent. We have incredibly talented artists here, and I just think that the platform will come back. I think other platforms will be used, and the artists should not stop doing what they're doing. I think at some point, if it's not NFTs, it'll be something else that will come up, but people are interested with this type of content.
Definitely. How about you, Marine?
Well, it feels to me that even if the whole market, and again, I'm not an expert as well, but like even if the whole market must have crashed, it feels to me that the opportunity, if any, still really remains on the continent for, well, just many different reasons, which are NFTs allow so much art and artists to travel, right, and to go beyond border, which I guess a lot of people don't have the same means to do on the continent, as opposed to many other artists in, I don't know, in Europe, for instance. And the other thing is in terms of adoption, of the NFTs and the practice. I see I'm going to talk about Kenyan artists at least, way more eager to use it, to try it. In my project, we had to ask the artist to create the digital wallet, to attend a webinar to know how NFT work, etc. So we were talking to artists who didn't know yet, and they were all super eager to try, etc. And I imagine way more than artists, for instance, in Europe, and way younger, but younger also in their mind, and eager to seize this kind of opportunity. So in terms of that, I'd say if any continent, I would say Africa is still the continent where it could work.
Amazing. Passing on to you, Liam. Do you think NFTs are widespread?
Could you repeat the question?
Sorry?
Could you please repeat the question?
Yeah.
Could you please repeat the question? Because I was listening, yeah.
Do you think NFTs are widespread adopted in Africa, and who is leading this revolution?
Okay, so I'll start on the second answer. I'll answer the second part. The revolution is you people. It's us. The youth can only take hands in part of this, and the most important thing is us having structural laws and codes of conduct with how we kind of like present ourselves into the space. I can give you an example. The difference in change is like what's happening right now. 3 years ago, I think, and this is such a joy for me because I can speak to Africans because I know you can resonate with me. When I started in the NFT space, I never could get into it because I couldn't buy crypto. That was a very, very big issue. And for most of you in the audience, I can't see the audience right now, but I'm Zimbabwean. So Zimbabwe's crypto laws are ambiguous is an understatement. So us trying to make a difference or a change, the government would always interfere, whether it's education or anything, but digitally they could not interfere. And I think it's just time and effort. Like for me, when I started, I had to buy an iPhone so I could get onto Clubhouse. And I was first operating off an internet cafe because there was no electricity at my home. Those were like the only areas. You need to kind of like want it for like the ecosystem. And sorry, what's part one of the question?
Do you think NFTs are widespread adopted in Africa?
Oh, so like in Africa, the widespread adoption, the answer is yes. If you just go look at it analytically about the artists like minting on the blockchain, a very big percentage comes from Nigeria, and particularly in Kenya. The main reason is because your guys' crypto laws are a lot easier than the other countries, and that's the one main pretense of, I think, which name are you going by? Under Dada. I don't want to put your government name to like the audience, but it's such a tricky thing coming in from an artistic ecosystem because myself as an artist and as an entrepreneur, I've been doing the exact same thing. The only difference is that it's Web3. Like I was doing this stuff in Web2. I used to run a thing called ABC, which was African Born Child Movement, which was in Zimbabwe, and we used to like teach painting and all of this other kind of stuff. But I was a digital artist and I wanted to focus my ventures, and with the result with like Ancurated, like African NFT community was formed to get us together. And Ancurated was a venture of me trying to curate artists and get them like primarily right now, since the adoption of NFTs is increasing. And this year, for the first time, like at Basel, Miami, we're doing a show on the 6th. and we're not like a sideshow or anything. We're a main act and a main event, and there's African people there. And I think many of you know Kamau. Kamau. I think if he's there in the audience or Ian, right?
Shout out to Kamau.
Yes, I don't know. Well, shout out to Kamau and Ian. They are part of our headline acts. I can think of myself where I was showcased in Basel and I was in Zimbabwe. It meant nothing to me because at that moment in time, no one wanted to focus on African NFT art in particular. And going back to the first question, that's why I rebranded to Ancurated as well. Community aspirations versus company aspirations are always intertwined, but what I wanted to do, like as well as like artists in the continent, look at the Kenyan NFT community. Like they were part of ANC as well, like this, but separation and cultivating our own communities is always going to help because the African NFT community, the idea behind it is that we will have pods on every single continent and then together. Yeah, this is all part and parcel of the plans, but mass adoption is something that is going to go with governance as well, like with the previous talk. Now with artists as well, like talking to yourself as an artist, I would say take advantage and do your research with what you guys are doing here today. This is kind of great having an IRL event. It's very, very, very tricky to talk to an audience because ANC itself, the ecosystem was built during COVID and all of us were on the internet. So now trying to get attention of everyone, trying to teach everyone all over again, those are the kind of challenges that I'm pretty sure Africa is going through. And then never mind the social challenges Africa goes through, which is like electricity, etc. But we can always overpower the hurdles through knowledge. And primarily, that's exactly what we're doing. And I'm so happy and I'm proud of like what you guys are doing in Kenya right now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So there's a very interesting takeaway for me. At the same time, like the market is down, but you can hear there's still opportunities, right? If you can take away something from this conversation, let it be that, right? There's many ways and many spaces that you can make a mark. And I think my next question, we've spoken about the market, we've spoken about how you used to sell NFTs. My next question is how many, for all of you, how many NFTs have you sold before, and why would you think people are investing into your NFTs as an individual, or if you've had collective exhibitions sell out, why would you think that people are investing money into these NFTs? Why are the collectors buying into you?
So in terms of our NFTs, it's very easy. We haven't sold any. Well, we had 22, so I guess that was small number to start with. The reason people would have bought it is, let me maybe explain you just what was the project. So the project was in September last year. There was this conference happening, the ETH Safari, which is a blockchain event conference that's happening now every year. And the founder of this conference wanted, on the fringe of that, to organize an art event called the Artstorm. So basically, having this storm all over the city where graffiti artists would use the walls in the city and cover them with their art. The theme was African Street of the Future. And so we organized the whole process. We recruited 25 artists. We allocated them slots. We had slots, huge walls in Kibra, on Haile Selassie, Kamukunji, Kayole, Dandora, Korogocho. It was a huge project, to be fair, in 3 days. That was quite awesome. And then the point was to take pictures of those and to mint them one by one of the murals, by one of the murals. The reason, to answer your second question of why would people invest in that, is the project had a huge social impact in terms of the communities that it was targeting. So basically the whole point was to take those gray walls to turn them into green or at least like full of art, which was to re-own for the communities, the local communities, to re-own the space and to make them place of like just social interactions, and to also bring art to their knowledge. I don't think a lot of people see a lot of art on a daily basis in Kayole, and so that was quite amazing. And the NFT here were the opportunity for people to support the artists, but also to support the communities and to help and transform the city. So had we been able to do it on the pillar of the expressway, it would have been absolutely amazing. Instead of that, they put like plastic flowers. Too bad, but maybe next time. And I'd love for people to be able to buy those NFTs to support the artists and to support the communities.
Awesome. How about you, Salim?
I think we've sold about a dozen so far, NFTs. And again, I would say because our content is quite unique and it's historical, so I think people were interested in owning, and we only ever minted one of each. It wasn't multiple versions, or there weren't different numbers of each. It was only one. And so I think the collectors were interested in that. And like I said, the content is unique. I mean, as a content creator, traditional content creator, I'm still confused about NFTs in the sense that why somebody would want to buy something that I still own the copyright of, and that I can go and sell 50 of the same prints of that same image. So I don't understand why somebody would want to buy it. But hey, if people are willing to spend money on our content, then I'm not complaining. But I personally, I don't think would buy an NFT, especially of the type of content that we have, because it can be used elsewhere. If it's something that an artist has created from scratch and it's their own painting or their own content, and they're only ever going to make one of them, then that I can see immense value in. But what we have is totally unique, and the reason we got into it as well, as you know, Dada, is because you're part of that company. As the reason we got into is also as a form of education, to educate young people about the history of this continent, which not many know about, and using NFTs or a different way of showcasing this history is something that was very important to us, is very important to us to highlight the history of not just Kenya, but the entire African continent, and this is one way to do it.
Amazing, amazing. Liam has probably sold hundreds and hundreds of NFTs. Like, he's the guy I've been looking up to. And Liam, how many NFTs have you sold? Be honest.
Like, honest. It's a bit of a double-edged sword because for those of you in the audience, you know the difference between a 721 and a 1155 contract. So 1155 being multiple editions. On a 1155, this is just my rough estimate. It's close to over 500, like around there, because those are like multiple editions. But if we're talking about cross-chain, I'm near 1,000 now, close to there. But in terms of one-of-ones, it's about 80. So I am a very different case to the previous two speakers because I am my own marketer. I'm my own person. So it is a very good question on why do people be like, I know the answer on why people purchase NFTs from my work. It's because it's always explained into what you are buying into. Most of my work, I think Dada explained that I am a multidisciplinary artist like this, but most people do know that I'm famous for digital collage or drawing, but digital collage is probably the premise of what made me famous in the space. And I would always tell the story, like, I'm from Zimbabwe, so everyone does know, and we do know African history, that I came from apartheid systems and colonialism. That is most of the factors that I talk about in my art. When collectors go and collect my art, historians and the colonial powers that controlled my country. So to me, it is more than beyond just being a non-fungible token. It's a gateway into my ecosystem. A lot of my collectors that do collect my work, I have token gated my community as well. So like my one-of-one collectors versus the 1155s, it's kind of like a different genre because when we started off in the space, the only reason we released editions as artists was mass adoption. You wanted your friends to go and collect your work because your one-of-one is selling for X number, but your edition was a fractionalized asset of that particular thing. I do think as an artist, you should always remember that people do not buy your artwork, they buy and invest in you as an artist because they're just giving you the tools to go and create. I think of my growth in the last 10 years as I went from not affording a canvas to now trying to start my own studio. And these things take a lot of hard work and patience, but most importantly, you need to know your product and you as an artist, why you're doing it for one, and two, how are you going to communicate with it? Because we're humans at the end of the day. Whatever piece of work you go, it needs to resonate with the person. So like for a prime example, if you are promoting to people that do not care about art, the creation of it or anything, you will always be upset and let down because you're always preaching to the wrong choir or crowd. So while you're navigating through the NFT space, let's just say you're in Twitter spaces or talking to people, ask yourself this question. Am I with artists or am I with companies? If you're with companies, are you trying to work with said companies? If you're with artists, are you trying to build a community, engage? Are you trying to learn from these people? These are some of the small instigating things. Dada, please just wave your hand if I'm being long-winded, because I hope I'm not, because I know it's like time constricted. But yeah, so, okay, we're good. So from my basis of it is, I didn't ever look at myself selling at like hundreds, because I had the same struggles like Dada can verify for me. When we started off as in the NFT space, it was very, very hard as black artists or colored or whatever racial dynamic you want to put in to kind of like make an effect in the space because most of them were Western dominated. And that was the premise of how ANC was founded, us talking. From there, the next point was the few of us that were gaining some traction, like a prime example. Afrodroid is probably one of the most important projects that happened for the African ecosystem because it was the very, very first time that the audience was able to purchase, but also build a school, which is still existing till now. So in terms of engaging the audience on why they would buy the NFT, there is a reason. Like a lot of Afrodroid holders know, okay, cool, Dreamcatchers Academy, I am buying a brick. Like we were just using that as a ploy. But a lot of artists collected their first NFT being from a successful artist. And I do think as long as there's transparency between, should I say, the PFP project and the users, there will be no problem. And as long as there's transparency between the artist and the collector. And you as an artist right now, I think Dada, you can verify on this. You as an artist pace yourself and tell your audience, don't go with a roadmap because every single person is there because we're all at different stages of our careers and even ages as a primary example. Like I myself, I'm pushing 30, so I'm a little bit getting into my intermediate years as an artist, preparing for my 40s, if that makes sense.
Thank you so much, Liam. And my timekeeper is on my back. So I had two more questions, but if anything, I'm going to ask, we've spoken about the changes that you guys have gone through, right? From selling your art rapidly to no sales at all. What are the changes that you plan to do, right? What are the changes that you plan to make if you are moving forward with your NFT art or with other NFT communities? What change will you make personally as an individual or as a company from what you used to do back then?
I don't think I would leave it to people like you, Dada, in the company to actually make those changes because this space is not, we'll keep providing the content, but in terms of the marketing, that has to go to people that are much smarter than I am to do that marketing side. But our strength is content, and at the moment we have so many other projects going on that this is not something that we would spend too much time on. We have too many other priorities where we are making money. We just did the GTC GTC Towers that just opened. There's a massive art exhibition of ours there, looking at old Nairobi and the evolution of Nairobi as a city. Uhuru Gardens, the new museum at Uhuru Gardens is 90% of our content inside there, as well as our films. So those kinds of projects for us are more priority.
Okay. I'm sorry, guys. We actually didn't introduce ourselves.
So, should we do that now? Or?
Yes, we can. But we have like 2 minutes.
Okay, so we, Afrofuture, we as myself and a couple of partners in the US, Dada is part of that company as well. Osinachi, who's a Nigerian NFT artist, is a founder of that as well with us. But my primary company is CameraPix, So we are the largest, oldest, and one of the largest production houses on the continent, and have been around for the last 60 years.
Awesome.
So that's us.
Maureen, how about you?
Hey, so, okay, so I'll start with this. So I'm Maureen, co-founder of Liminal Spaces. For those who don't know, Liminal Spaces is a platform based in Nairobi that is, whose aim is to promote East African artists, and basically by trying and putting the audience and the artist closer together to like open the channel of communications, and so to also find new ways to connect them. And so NFTs were one of them. Usually what we do is we organize, with Liminal Spaces, we organize events, we organize art meetups, we do talks sometimes at Alliance, and etc. So one thing we might do actually with NFTs, to answer your question, is to potentially organize what we know how to do, an exhibition, and have showing the NFTs, and maybe the exhibition could be virtual, should probably be virtual as well, and have showing the NFTs and before and after, and marketed this way. But what we are wondering is maybe we should bring it back a little bit to the physical space, to have it go live, more live in the digital space.
Okay, Liam, I'm gonna pass it to you to introduce your community, and similarly to name a change that you'll be making as you move forward with NFTs, if you are moving forward with NFTs. Oh my God.
If I'm moving forward. Okay. Well, it's great to know that Afrofuture is there, because I've worked with Afrofuture, so pleased to meet, like, I would say we're like family from the earlier years. For myself, I'm the founder of Ancurated, and we are a Web3 curatorial-based platform, and we curate artists. And previously, like I said, we're trying to bring the physical world and the digital world together. So right now in Miami, we're doing our first ever curation. And whatever I changed, the changes that we've made, since starting African NFT community, and we tried to like form a DAO, for example, there were many intricate things, and that's why I'm starting AN Collective as well. We've been doing open calls for artists every single day. So if you are an artist and you're listening to this, make sure you follow that, because we want to create a decentralized ecosystem that the connections are there, like through myself as an artist and many other artists, like Linda Dunia being one of our biggest advisors as artists in Africa, get them into Web3 a little bit faster than them having to read. So it's kind of like a refined version of what we started.
Okay. Thank you so much, Liam. Thank you so
Man,
much.
I know you're time sensitive, so like I was trying to speak faster.
Okay. Thank you so much for making time to be here, Liam. It's really exciting. And you guys have heard there's so many opportunities with ANC Curated. And beyond that, Liam is, I hope Liam is available to to help any one of you if you have questions. So if you need his Instagram or his Twitter, he's called Vintage Mozart. He's one of the biggest creators in Africa when it comes to NFTs. So there's so much impact we've made over the last few years, and I'm so grateful for you guys for staying attentive during this session. I hope you've taken away something. For those who are invested in NFTs, for those who wanted to know you know, the market capacity of NFTs, for those who are curious about NFT adoption in Africa. And yeah, so I'm just happy to be here. And for any further questions, just because of time constrictions, find any one of the faces here. And as I said, Vintage Mozart on Twitter, AN Curated on both Instagram and Twitter, and you'll be able to find a really huge community that will empower your journey, whatever you are, okay? Thank you so much. That's gonna be it for the session.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you guys.